What do you get when you cross a zany TV premise with threats from a foreign government? You get the topic of today's video.
Say what?
Hey y'all, welcome back. Today I'm going to be looking at the MTV show Clone High. It was the first big project of soon-to-be star duo Phil Lord and Chris Miller. It featured the vocal talents of established actors like Donald Faison and was Will Forte's big break. Yet Clone High only lasted one season and it's been largely forgotten. So, what happened? Is it worth checking out or does it deserve to remain forgotten? And what was that thing you said about threats from a foreign government? I'll answer all those questions and more if you'll let me. So without further ado, let's go. Part 1. Principal context. Phil Lord and Chris Miller met at Dartmouth writing for the school's paper, and what follows from here is one of the luckiest Hollywood success stories. Through divine intervention, Michael Eisner, then CEO of The Mouse, came across some of Chris's animated shorts and wanted him to work for Disney. Chris was able to involve Phil in the deal, so they came out to LA and started developing pitches. During that time, South Park was blowing up, which led some of their pitches down a more adult path. None of which were suitable for Disney, but Fox was enticed. Lord and Miller made a pilot for Clone High, but Fox soon changed its owners, and the new owner wasn't as keen on their weird idea, so the deal went nowhere. Somehow, 12 months later, MTV got a copy of the pilot and were so excited they bought the show for 13 episodes. How did they react to the news, you might ask?
We're 26, and we have a show on the air at MTV, and we have no idea what we're doing.
Despite their inexperience, there was something about these guys and their idea that had people excited. On top of getting greenlit by MTV, the show amassed a team of reputable talent.
We had the best Emmy-winning production designer in cartoons helping us. We had another amazing Emmy-winning character designer. I don't know what it was. We were so earnest and we were so nice that people were willing to help us.
Bill Lawrence, then producer of shows like Scrubs and Spin City, added stability and connections to the project, most notably in the presence of the cast of Scrubs lending their voices to the show. All these folks contributed to what eventually took the form of Clone High. Part 2. The Highest Marks. To start talking about what I liked in the show, it's about time I explained the premise, huh? The students who populate the titular Clone High are all clones of historical figures who died gruesomely. What a lovely bond they share. The Board of Shadowy Figures, a military group, is developing these clones for an army. And in order to train and raise the clones, they're placed in foster homes and go through all levels of school together. The show features the eclectic grouping of Abe Lincoln, Joan of Arc, Gandhi, Cleopatra, and JFK. These historical figures take on stock roles from high school sitcoms. Joan's the goth chick, Cleo's the popular girl, JFK's the womanizing jock, Gandhi's the party animal, and Abe's the lanky, awkward, hopeless romantic. There's romantic strife, friendships tested, stress over studying for the SATs, and even problem episodes. My personal favorite being on littering, where it's framed as the thing all the cool kids do.
Bro, check this out. Swish. Haha.
Littering so cool.
Though later, due to a litter-related death at the school, the characters change their ways. But then they clean too much, leading the janitor to getting fired.
I guess some people rely on litter for their jobs.
Maybe littering is good. In moderation. In moderation!
It's a fun play on the simple-to-digest way sitcoms handle lessons and how sometimes the lessons don't add up. Despite poking fun, Clone High is an earnest expression of the high school experience, portraying the emotional beats with an appropriate touch. Sometimes it takes the form of visual gags.
Let's go to Teen Sex Cove.
Yeah. Let's do it.
On other occasions, it's monologues.
I'm a mess! I go to the submarine sandwich restaurant and I leave my submarine sandwich restaurant value card at home every time! Oh, I want a free sandwich!
Stay strong, King. Also, the premise of the show plays nicely into high school angst. Being clones of historically relevant figures, the characters often reference failing to live up to the expectations of their former selves.
See, I've never been able to live up to her. That's why, instead, I became a cynical, angst-ridden goth girl.
Which is a unique angle to explore the stress of living up to expectations. A lot of people my age can relate to the feeling that you're not doing enough to live up to the image others have of you, or you have of yourself. And that longing for validation is pretty empathetically expressed through the clones. Speaking of, there's a series-long gag where the characters are afraid of the way their former selves died. JFK is scared by finger guns, and Abe is scared of running for office.
Well, I'm a genetic duplicate of Abe Lincoln, and I'm not fit to be president. If I only knew what fears and insecurities were holding me back.
Most of these jokes are minor asides, but that brings us to a strength of the show. It has so many funny details. Sometimes it's a joke on the school marquee about the NSYNC concert being low priority, and sometimes it's a signature that we only see for about a second from Sarah Michelle Gellar that implies Gandhi lied about having cancer to get her autograph. Knowing the creators were packing each episode full of little details makes the whole product feel compassionately crafted, making for a great watch.
Joan, thank God you're okay. I've been looking all over the restaurant for you.
Abe, we put out an APB on your missing friend.
It's okay, officer, I found her.
On top of just a general good sense of humor, those are the comedic elements that strike me as positives for the show. But on top of its comedy, there are some political messages that I appreciate. In one episode, Joan's banned from playing on Clone High's awful basketball team despite being the best player in the school. She's a girl, you see. Through an elaborate disguise, she gets onto the field. She eventually reveals herself, manages to score the only point for her team in the game, but afterwards, Abe gets credit for letting her play.
Let's hit it for our hero!
I'm no hero. I'm just a girl who loves basketball.
Not you, Abe. If Abe hadn't made that speech, you never would have scored.
This points out how progressive movements are often co-opted to congratulate the generous members of the majority. An episode on drugs points out how DARE campaigns don't always work and instead may have inspired more drug usage.
I was such a waste case, I would have probably smoked, I don't know, raisins if somebody told me they got you high.
You can smoke raisins?
I've always enjoyed ingesting raisins, but I never thought about smoking them.
In another episode, Gandhi's energy is shown to be explicitly ADD. The school's rude and unwilling to accommodate his needs. It gets to the point where the whole town is rioting at Gandhi, until Abe steps in.
Abe, you know what you have to do.
You're right.
I'm an ordinary guy in an ordinary world. My discomfort with a man kissing another man is stronger than my hatred for people with ADD.
Hey, let's all accept Gandhi and shun Abe instead.
This arc not only challenges the public's inability to accommodate neurodiversity, but critiques the short attention span of reactionaries. Now they seem more interested in being in a state of outrage than anything else. Clone High also takes a lot of shots at privileged people.
Joan, are you okay? We heard about your house burning down.
It's okay, Abe. I don't need your pity.
Is it true you're living under the gym bleachers?
And I really don't need your pity.
So where do we put the canned goods? Because I brought you some beef broth. It's still good, just dented.
I'm a vegetarian.
And here's a musty old hypercolor shirt I found in our dust rag drawer. I know it's out of style, but you poor people don't care about that sort of thing, right?
My friend died. He was killed by litter. He was white and privileged.
That's the saddest thing I ever heard. Was he famous? That's still really sad.
That is why it is my great pleasure, as president of the student body, to officially dedicate this impassable moat protecting us from the special ed classroom.
Each jab has a specific goal in mind, but they all absurdly make a variety of good points. Lastly, one thing I've been paying attention to these days is whether or not a character's shitty actions are actually challenged. Too often, characters will just do a shitty thing and the story moves on, with a possible implicit understanding that they're shitty, but never fully getting after them for being shitty. So I appreciate how in one episode, Abe is jealous about Cleo being with JFK so much, but he chooses to fight this battle when JFK's mourning the death of his best friend, also known as the worst time to be jealous. The nice part is Abe genuinely learns his lesson in the episode and doesn't carry this jealousy for the rest of the series.
So I'm just gonna hug you and hold you for a really long time.
Which is great to see. That's kind of rare for sitcoms. So that's what I enjoyed from the politics and comedy of the show, but what I loved the most is the ending. If you don't want to have the ending spoiled, jump ahead to this time code. Now for those of you feeling dangerous, oh, what the fuck is this voice? The guiding arc of the show is Abe's dating life. Early episodes focus on him trying to date Cleo, and later episodes focus on him trying to be a good boyfriend. And all the while, Joan's off to the side wishing Abe would date her.
You don't think dating an old friend would be better? Maybe someone that, you take for granted?
No, I like Cleo.
But Abe, think about it, like an old friend, you know.
Nope, Cleo. Only Cleo.
Abe has a bunch of lines that sound like he's about to profess his love to Joan, but they all take a twist.
Joan, wait. Maybe you should try on my Letterman's jacket.
You mean?
That's right, Joan. I'm giving it to Cleo at the homecoming prom, and I want to see how it fits a girl.
I just finished my film and it really expresses my true...
I'm so proud of you, opening yourself up and expressing what's inside. You're such an honest and true friend.
Friend?
Yeah, even closer than a sister. So close that we could sleep in the same bed and never touch or kiss.
This parodies how sitcoms drag on romantic tensions through simple misunderstandings. Despite being satirical, I found myself wanting them to get together, because they have good chemistry and are clearly fond of each other. We ride this will they or won't they path till the finale. The finale takes place at prom. Joan is crying outside because Abe spurned her advances again. She vents to JFK about how frustrated she is at him not reciprocating her feelings. Little did she know, after seeing Joan in her dress, Abe starts to have feelings for her. Abe's confused with how to proceed, which leads him to this gaffe.
Oh, Joan.
Oh, Abe, a minute. What did you just say?
I don't happen to recall.
You called me Joan?
What could this mean?
You're in love with Joan, Abe.
Maybe my mouth is broken?
You're in love with Joan.
Eventually armed with mental clarity, in the show's final moments we have Abe running around looking for Joan so he can express his love to her. Abe walks into a back room and finds that JFK and Joan just, had a very special hug. And that setup getting ripped out from under the audience is such a dick move. But it's a dick move that I appreciate. It's such a great subversion on the expectations that characters will always end up together. It's shocking, it's engaging, and it's sad. Like Joan stumbling over her words, Abe's heartbroken and confused, and their ability to work things out is cut off by other characters filling in via conga line. Why the conga line, you ask? The Board of Mysterious Figures is at the prom to take the clones back, so the principal and John Stamos decide to save the clones by freezing everybody. So as Abe and Joan are finally open with each other, they're getting frozen alive, and it builds to this sad peak.
But Joan, I love...
And that's it. They never get a happy ending. The moment is backed up by a wonderfully melancholy song. The mood of the song, the fitting lyrics, and the scene we witness leave us pretty heartbroken. These characters never get to make things right. They're locked eternally in this moment of regret, confusion, yearning to try it all again. And I'm shocked that I'm so moved by this ending. In a sense, it's a pretty simple bait and switch to leave the audience on a cliffhanger. There's definitely a cheeky tone in ending it as abruptly as they do, but the pairing of the song makes this moment so much more than a dumb twist. No matter how silly they want it to be, to me this moment is just mwah. And when Abe teams up with Stonewall Jackson to prank Margaret Thatcher, we're out of the spoiler-free zone. Nothing to see here. Anywho, for those of you just joining the spoiler-free zone, welcome back. All in all, the show has a lot of fun moments held together by a strong core of characters. But, as should be expected, it's not perfect. Part 3. Its demerits. On the subject of its characters, JFK's shtick got old. Don't get me wrong, JFK had fun moments.
You, handsome guy, what are you looking at? Oh, I'm looking at you, hotshot. Your devilish good looks don't impress me. Well, what would impress you, dreamboat?
But his vocal character and the jokes he made about sex got pretty one-note and repetitive. He was absurdly fun at first, but after a while I felt myself going, I get it, he talked goofy and had all the sex we know. I think he just needed a diversity of character traits, and they struggled with that in the middle episodes. While JFK's writing left some to be desired, Cleo and Gandhi left something to be desired in their casting. Their voice acted well, but both are voiced by folks who don't represent the historical figures' ethnicities. Which is a shame given how selecting these characters is an inherently diverse choice. It would have been really easy to choose some bodacious babe from America to be the preppy chick, and it would have been equally easy to select some stuffy scientist like Einstein to be the party animal. But the creators went an interesting route picking characters from across history. So why not open up that subversive role to somebody from the character's ethnic background? After all, there weren't a whole lot of roles like these in 2002 for an Indian man or an Egyptian woman. Plus, in the way the show helped propel Will Forte, it could have boosted the careers of two performers of color if Lord and Miller had given them a chance. Given where the conversations were at about diverse casting and voice acting, I'm not surprised they didn't go the progressive route. I just wish they did. Outside its recognizable main characters, Clone High has celebrity appearances. While I get that they're trying to parody cameos in sitcoms, they rarely work for me. Mandy Moore's cameo isn't funny except for its end joke. Tom Green's character is just scatterbrained, which is one note and doesn't go anywhere. Marilyn Manson is the best, as his presence has a nice dynamic to it. We'd expect him to be all edgy, but he starts out as this wholesome role model, only to subvert the subversion at the end.
When you eat your sweets, make sure you try to limit your servings or you'll die.
It's good, but it makes the other cameos appear worse given how flat they fell. Lastly, to follow up my discussion of shitty behaviors being challenged, I was sad to see that the show never challenges Joan's spite toward Cleo. Joan has the whole "I'm not like other girls" attitude, which makes sense given that she's goth, but as is often the case, it manifests as misogyny. Joan frequently calls Cleo a slut and is aggressively sex negative.
Abe, remind me, now, do you like Cleo because she's conceited or because she's a whore?
Being sexually active isn't a crime. Being an asshole is. Cleo's definitely an asshole.
Yeah, and Abe, remind me, is Joan your best friend because of some elaborate joke, or is it sympathy?
But Joan doesn't call Cleo an asshole, just associates her negative traits with being promiscuous, and no character, nor any arc Joan goes through, cause Joan to rethink why she's attacking Cleo or force Joan to accept how Cleo expresses herself. Quite the opposite. Cleo has an arc where she learns to accept Joan's side. The show goes on acting like Joan is valid in her verbal assaults, so the misogyny goes unchecked. All in all, the show has a number of tangible flaws, some of which are season-long and bring down the overall experience. But these criticisms didn't kill the show. In fact, most of them had nothing to do with the show's cancellation. So why did it get taken off the air? Part 4. Why Class got cancelled. Plenty of shows get canned for low ratings or high production costs, but Clone High's cancellation had nothing to do with those standard justifications. It had everything to do with threats of a hunger strike from India's parliament. Let me explain. While some of the characters in Clone High play into traits we associate with them, other characters are the opposite of what we expect. JFK is a womanizer, which he was known for in real life, but Joan's an atheist, which is decidedly not what she's known for. The pitch for Gandhi was to make him a party animal as a twist on the lofty expectations we have for him. In the show, Gandhi acknowledges that he's stumbling down a bad path, so the writers definitely leaned into Gandhi being destined for better than this. Regardless, turns out when you take a figure who liberated a country from horrific colonial oppression and make his whole character obsessed with getting laid and drinking, folks take issue with that. When members of the Indian Parliament caught word of MTV's portrayal of Gandhi, they threatened with a hunger strike, which caused the network to pull the show from American wavelengths with 5 episodes left. And it didn't just get canceled, it got erased. MTV scrubbed pages about the show from their website and kept the production team from speaking publicly about it for a while. Or at least, for a moment it was canceled. In the last few weeks it was confirmed that MTV is buying a reboot of Clone High. So while at time of recording it's impossible to know what the show will look like, it has a different arc to its history. News broke the week I was editing this video, so it felt important to add this little tidbit in. But with that out of the way, let's move on to my final thoughts. Part 5. Conclusion. So now that we've dissected the show's contents, how it came to be and how it came to not be anymore, it's time I answer the burning question. Is Clone High a forgotten masterpiece? Mostly. I don't think the show's perfect, and I don't say that just to seem balanced. There are elements to the show that actively sour episodes, characters that never or rarely work, and some problematic subject matter. However, when the show's on point, and it is mostly on point, it's a fun and engaging watch. It's fun to experience its cheeky, over-the-top approach to sitcom satire. The season-long ride's fun, and save for a few moments, there's a wholesome energy throughout, which made the experience pretty comfy. All in all, I think it's a show that deserves a lot more recognition for how creative and funny it is. So go get some more eyeballs on this show, and that's an order. All in all, I'd give this show eyeballs out of 10. Anyway, thank y'all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to toss me one of them likes down below and subscribe, clicking the little bell so you can know the exact nanosecond I release my next video. Also be sure to follow me on Twitter because I've been known to post funny jokes there. Sometimes. Thanks as always, y'all, and I'll see you next time.